Welcome to the Mason Miller Show, and tonight we're joined by Pete and Laura Vitale, the owners of Joe's Pizza right here in Shelbyville. As always, I'm joined with my co-host, Clay. Pete and Laura, how you doing tonight?
Good, thank you for having us.
Of course. How is Joe's going lately? Been pretty busy?
We've been extremely busy lately.
Has it changed through this pandemic? How much has it changed?
You know what? Shelbyville's been pretty supportive. We've had a lot of people supporting us, coming in all the time. And now that everything's pretty much lifted, especially in Shelbyville, just business has been through the roof.
What about the employees? Have you had any trouble with that? Or people
not-
leaving to go to school?
Well, that's always been an issue every
Yeah,
year.
every
Sadly.
year we have that.
We get attached. We do. They're like our kids.
You get a person for 2 or 3 years, and then you send them off, and then you got to start over.
And then start over from the beginning, training and everything. And that, honestly, that's probably the worst part of having a restaurant business is training the people to do exactly what you want. When they first start off, they're not that great, let's face it. But then over the years, they become phenomenal, and then they leave and go to college or move on to better things.
How
teachers.
long did it take for Laura to get you trained exactly right?
She's still working on it. She's
Right.
still working on
It's
it.
a work in progress.
It's tough.
It's
It
a
is tough,
lifetime
isn't
thing.
it?
Well, has the summer and fall, does it slow down a little bit after summer, or has it been about the same?
So, and this is what's so weird with this whole pandemic, COVID 2020 stuff, is before we'd always have our summer rush. You know, as soon as summer came on, we were probably 2 to 3 times busier than we are through the winter because you get all the tourists and stuff.
Right.
But since we haven't seen any dip at all.
Yeah.
Really?
Knock on wood. You know, even in 2020, and now we're in 2021, it's fall, and business is still doing really, really well.
I wonder what that is. I wonder if it's just that people are so being cooped up for so long that they just want to be out more. I don't
They
know.
realize they don't want to cook every day. And I don't blame them, but that's what we
It's
do.
like
Yeah.
us.
We realized that
Yeah, no
years
kidding.
before the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's true.
What is so when you said it used to get really, really busy in the summer and then would slow down a little bit, but now it's pretty much the same, and it was the same last year, I guess. Also, just coming post when everything opened back up, it just took off and has just stayed the same way, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, things that we're dealing with now, which I was on the phone today speaking to my point of sales, my computer system people, and trying to get some different ideas on how we can speed up our process, be more efficient. And he's given us a few ideas because now the phone just rings off hook. There's not a Friday or a Saturday that I don't get a text message or Laura gets a Facebook message saying, hey, your phones are down.
Yeah.
You know, the phones aren't down. It's just ringing off the hook, and it's
Right.
hard for us to get to them. And there's been a few weekends where we actually have to take the phone off hook just so we can catch back up.
What about online order, or does that scare you because there's going to be
So that,
85 orders placed in
All at
an hour
once, and you can't slow it down. Yeah.
on top of all the live orders?
So that's what I was talking to them today about that, because we can do online ordering. I haven't activated that feature yet on my computer system. And he was trying to talk me into it. And that was my biggest concern with it, because I said to him, you know, what if someone, you know, does an online order, and normally it takes, you know, say 40 minutes for a delivery. And right now, when people call in, we're telling them it's an hour and a half for delivery. You know, what do we do to those people? How are they going to know? And he said, really, there's no good way. He goes, what you can do is just put like something down there that says, you know, during the hours of 4 to 6:30 or whatever, which is our rush hour, expect longer than normal wait times.
Mm-hmm.
He goes and see how that goes. But I don't like to make customers upset.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that kind of shies me away from that. But one thing that he also said was he was talking about putting QR codes on the tables, and then the customer can actually take their phone, put it over the QR code. It pulls up our menu. They can order straight from the menu from their seats, dining in, and then they press a button. They pay for it via their credit card, and then it shows up on our computer system that, you know, you guys are sitting at booth
I've seen
3.
a couple places to
Yeah.
do that now.
So ironically enough, in Bloomington, when we would go visit Malcolm or whatever, and I've got reps up there when I would have to meet them, it was one of the only places that you could still go in and sit down kind of when COVID was just starting to open back up. And ever since then, they have that. And it's called Joe's, I don't know, whatever, but it's in Bloomington, and they have 2 locations. And it's, I mean, it's kind of similar to your restaurant, but they have that. And that's the only way you order. The only way you can order from a person is if you sit at the bar. Otherwise, you go in and sit down, you scan it, and she'll come by and ask you if you know how to do it. And we're like, yeah. And then they leave you, and it has everything. And you order your drinks. She brings your drinks and says, have you ordered your order yet? And we're like, I mean, they just bring the food out. And then when you're ready to leave, you hit the thing, check out. And if you don't check out, you just get up and walk out. It automatically just checks you out and adds on like 15% or something. Yeah.
See, the problem with doing something new in the restaurant business is the learning curve.
Oh, yeah.
Not just for myself and, my wife, but for the other employees to actually figure it out and make it flow smoothly, because that's what I want. I just want everything to go smoothly.
It's like maybe just try it in the bar area only with the QR code stuff and say...
That's actually a good idea.
It would free making up.
Right, to where she can stay behind the bar. And then what they would do is they just had one person that was like a runner, and all she would do is like, when an order would come up, she'd bring the stuff up, set it down.
That's actually a good idea. That really is.
You need to go with us up there to visit Malcolm sometime, and we'll go there. Or tell you, take a little Monday trip up there you guys do and just eat and ask them about it. Because
see, and that's honestly when we do get a day off, and we actually, because we're kind of homebodies, we really don't go out much. But when we do go out, I like to try different things to see how, not so much trying different people's food, but how are they doing it? What could they do better? What could we do better? Right. And you just kind of learn from it.
Just the customer experience, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, talk to me a little bit about the beginning, kind of how it started, and how long you've been doing it.
I'll let you field this one.
Oh, okay. Well, how beginning should I start?
When we opened up.
Where did you first open?
We were high school sweethearts. I'll start with that. And we decided we wanted to open a restaurant. We drove all over Illinois, really, and we were actually headed to Pana when we drove through Shelbyville, and I don't even.
Shelbyville was decorated.
Decorated for
it was
sports.
Homecoming. You guys were painting the windows at the downtown.
It looked great, and we're very sports.
What year was this?
It would have been what,
98 because we opened in 99.
Could have been 97 though, because we kind of dragged our feet for a while.
What was going on in 98?
I tell you, I was gonna say it would have been right in that.
We were probably in college
because we were we were
in tune with.
We were married, and we were just married. I don't know if we even had kids yet when you guys first opened. We were living in Walnut, because I remember the very first, because we ordered takeout like right off because it was too busy. Yeah. We went in there and looked, and was like, ooh, we'll just order, and it was mayhem. I mean, because everybody was trying a new restaurant.
Yeah. So we thought, you know what, if this town gets around school sports and students like this is where we want to be. And we didn't even go to Pana. We just said Shelbyville's the place.
Good choice.
Yep.
So we stopped at the real estate. We actually stopped at
Bitzer's. Yep.
And we spoke to someone. And
we saw a couple buildings, and that was the one we picked.
Was it Guy's Steakhouse was there? One of the ones that they were trying to get us to buy was Guy's Steakhouse.
Yeah. Where Taco Bell is now.
Taco Bell.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't look at it. We just went where we opened up, and it was Highlands.
It was a 5 and dime. And it had a lot of work. We really had to do a lot to convert it into a kitchen, dining room, and it was...
I can't imagine.
It was a headache.
Yeah.
But it worked out.
And we weren't even married then. And then when we finally did open up, we drove back and forth from Paris
every day
all the way to Shelbyville.
Until we got married.
An hour and 15 minutes. Both
and that's
ways.
when we opened for lunch every day.
So you guys, I didn't realize that. You guys opened that restaurant before you were even married?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was 21 and you were 23.
Yeah, we what was it, 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine.
And
crazy.
I think we got some weird looks when they would say, "Oh, can I see the owner? Can I say hi to the owner?" We're like, "How can I help you?" And they're like,
"Are your parents around?"
Yeah.
So I mean, I grew up in the restaurant business, so I mean, I know it pretty well. I mean, there were times where something would happen or whatever, and I'd have to go take care of a customer at 16 years old. That a customer who was complaining or had an issue, or a waitress. And at 16, I went and I took care of that. So it really never fazed me opening up a restaurant. I wasn't nervous. It's just an everyday thing. I've been doing it since I was 12 years old, working with my family and stuff.
That's what you knew how to do.
So, yeah, I mean, I felt comfortable. But now that I'm older and I think back and seeing, like, because we used to have that window before we did the remodel, and people would come up to pay at the window, and seeing the people's faces when they saw me and my wife, you know, I was like, what is their deal? And now I could say, okay, they're like, oh my gosh, these guys are like 18 years old.
Well, that picture of you guys in the newspaper, I still
that was
remember.
crazy.
Really young. Yep.
I mean, I was what, 20?
You were 23 and I was 21 when we opened, yeah.
And that
So
was...
I couldn't imagine walking into a place and thinking, those are the owners. They're such kids.
Yeah. I mean, we were almost the exact same. We were probably 23 or 24 when you guys opened. And I can remember, though, not thinking anything about it when I saw it, because we were the same age. But you had that stuck on your window for years, that article, I remember, and before you remodeled.
We stuck it in the glass, yeah.
I remember 15 years later, I could tell we were getting older because I looked at that and I was like, man, you guys look young in that. I'm like, wait, we're the same age.
And that's one of the things I have a hard time dealing with. You know, anytime I see someone, I'm like, he's a kid.
Yeah.
And I still feel like I'm that mentality. And then I look at myself and I'm like, there's some
Probably
white in
because
this
we
beard.
always work with high school
yeah.
and college kids, so mentally we're on their level
They keep
year
you young.
after year.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see somebody and you think, oh, they're a kid. And they're like, you know, they've been married for 5 years and they have a kid themselves. And you're like, I can't get over that.
Yes,
And
it
that's another thing that really shows our age is when people who work for us and, you know,
we're not
went
even
on,
born
then,
when we started.
well, no, not just
no,
that,
we
but
saw them as babies and
well,
growing
yeah,
up
that,
and
but
everything else.
they work for us, and now they have kids
Yeah.
who are applying for jobs at my restaurant,
Right.
at our restaurant, and I'm like,
it's so
oh,
strange.
wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Imagine when it'll be a couple generations or something. It's crazy.
Yeah,
How much has it grown from the start to now?
a lot.
And you went through that remodel in what year?
That's your department.
I
I
don't
can't
remember, to be
remember.
honest with you. I think it's been, that's pretty bad. Has it been 5 years?
All my
Seems
Everything-
like
everything just runs together for me.
Maybe around 5 years.
5 years.
Ish.
It seems like you guys just did it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably been quite a while.
Has that changed a lot of the way stuff
So yeah, well,
happens in the restaurant?
Our
With
first
the bar and
remodel that we did, it was back in 2000. What would have been 2001, 2002.
Okay.
We
Is this
remodeled
where
the
we
front
took
of the
the
pizza
glass?
place. Yeah,
Okay,
we
so
remodeled the
was
front
all
of the
glass,
pizza
so you
Right.
took it off.
and
Yeah.
our business went up.
Put
You
in
know,
like double
e-
door.
every
and
time,
yeah.
and this is a learning process that I guess I didn't know. You know, my parents knew, but I guess they never really passed it down to me. The more you invest into your business, the more profit you'll get. The more your business will grow. People who just stay in the same, you know, mindset that just I'm going to do the same thing over and over again, your business is not going to grow. You know, you're going to stay the same, and that might be great, but you need to invest in your business. So then when we did the big remodel where we put in a bar, because we had a liquor license, but we never really utilized it to its full potential. We just tried to keep it simple.
Right.
You know, but once we did the remodel and we put in a party room, we put in the bar, we redid all the chairs, just everything. Our business that's when it really started to shoot up through the roof.
See, and you wonder, you know, you say the more you invest, and there's a point of diminishing return, but do you think it's because it freshens it up and creates excitement for everybody, but
Yes.
also for you guys too, like re-energizes and kind of
Not having the same old
sparks
thing.
you
It
guys?
definitely re-energized
On both,
us. Absolutely.
yeah, I agree on both accounts on that because you know you do reach a point where, especially working every day and
Right.
doing the same thing every day, there's a point where you're just I don't want to say done, but you just reached your limit, and that's what I love about owning my own restaurant because sometimes I'd look over at my wife, I'm like, we need a vacation. And she'll be like, all right. And then we'll just close for a couple of days. And again, people in Shelbyville, anytime my wife says, you know, going on a family vacation, we're closed for a couple of days. The comment, you guys deserve it. Oh, that's awesome. Go have fun. Enjoy your family.
Very heartwarming.
I
to
love
see
that.
Guess we'll have Tombstone.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know how you guys. I mean, you can't. I mean, I don't know. It's worse than having a dairy farm. I mean, there's no days off. I mean, it's unbelievable the hours that
How
you
much
put
time
in.
it eats up out of your own personal life.
Yeah. Well, like what you were saying earlier about the pandemic and stuff, one of the things that was wonderful for the pandemic is we changed our hours. So we used to be open for lunch. So again, us waking up at the crack of dawn to go to the restaurant, to work lunch, then work dinner, not closing till, 10, 11 o'clock, and then having to clean up by the time you get home and then doing it all over. That really took a toll on us. Mm-hmm. But now we're open from 4 to 8 or 4 till 10, on the weekends and stuff. Mm-hmm. We were like, oh, this is great. We get so much more free time. But now in those hours, we're so busy because now we took the whole day and condensed it into those hours. So the people who want Joe's come in all at once. And that's why we, have that big rush. We're at the restaurant at 9 o'clock in the morning making pastas, making our sauces, making our doughs. Yeah. So we have to do a lot more prepping to get everything done. Mm-hmm. Even now with like our sub sandwiches, before, you get a sub sandwich, I cut the bread, I put all the stuff on it and I stick it in the oven. Now I will make the subs ahead of time and stick them in our fridge. Right. That way all I have to do is just grab it and stick it in an oven.
Mm-hmm. The good part about all that is, though, it is unbelievable how it does have to take a little bit of a toll on you, but at least it's an awesome problem to have. That you're so busy and you have so much business that, you're one step away again from, like you're talking about, you guys are thinking about, do we experiment with QR code? How do we give the same experience but yet make it operate more efficiently without losing any of that touch? But then also you're like one step away from how do we get, and we'll get into more of this later, but do you have a family member? Do you have somebody that you can, help balance all that, where you can take a half a step back? It's always dangerous to do that because if it's somebody else, then
we're getting to that point. My son Seppi, he's wanting to follow in our footsteps, and he's very talented. He's a lot like me. He has a love for cooking. I've always, watching my parents cook, we, even to this day, me and my brothers and my sister, we talk about who was the better cook, my mom or my dad. They both were phenomenal. And I always watched, I always admired their cooking, and I always tried to take what my dad taught me and try to put my own spin on it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't, And Seppi is a lot like that. He'll see me do something, and he'll be like, all right, I'm going to try to do it better than him.
Tinker around with it a little bit.
Yeah. Cool. But it's him learning the business. He's still he's still young.
Right.
He's still learning the business.
He's got some time.
Definitely.
Talking to customers is, he's a little shy, so.
It's like, do you really want to wade into this?
Yeah.
Do you know what you're getting into?
It's a lot, and like what you were saying earlier, it's a lot of work, but it is rewarding, because with our whole remodel, we used to have that window so I could see the whole out front and make sure that all the customers were getting treated right and everything. And, I see a customer that looks like they're looking around, and I can tell the waitress, hey, go take care of that. Well, now we have a big screen, and you guys have all seen it, that has the cameras on there so I can see the front of the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, you're being watched all the time when you're in there.
So, well, yeah, I am. I watch everything because I want to make sure everything.
And coordinating and orchestrating chaos so it doesn't look like chaos.
But it is funny because if you are waiting and like they're crazy slammed and you're kind of all of a sudden magically Pete will come walking out and be like, do you need something? And you're like, how did you know that right then? And it's like, oh yeah, that's right, you guys.
Our cameras are good. I can see if the drink's running a little low, and I'll tell the waitress, I'll be like, hey, booth 2 looks like their drinks need a refill.
I bet they just love that.
Yeah, we're very hands-on. But what I was saying is, now with the whole camera system, I look over at my wife, and we were busy one night. She looks up, and she looks misty-eyed, and I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, can you believe we did this? And every seat is full. There's people waiting to be seated. There's a 15, 20-minute wait for people to be seated. And that's where you just are overwhelmed with pride because you're like, wow.
I built this when I was young.
Right. Well, when you guys were really very kids.
Yeah.
And then that 8 seconds passes, and then you're back to stress, and we got to get after it. Here, focus what you're doing.
40 tickets, let's go.
Right.
That's definitely stress when you see those tickets come out of that printer and they're touching the floor, and you're like, oh no.
Well, we're gonna take our first break, and we'll be back with more with Pete and Laura. Although it doesn't feel like it now, the holiday rush will soon be here. The Schwingle family of No Bad Days Farm here in Shelbyville are hard at work preparing to supply you with everything you'll need to create that fun old-fashioned family Christmas. At No Bad Days Farm, you'll be able to purchase your tree and fresh wreaths as well as roping and evergreen bundles for decorating. Additionally, they'll have grave blankets, pillows, and candles. And while visiting, don't forget to pick up an ornament and check out their hats, shirts, and official No Bad Days custom crafted coffee. The Schwingle family will have the farm open beginning Saturday and Sunday, November 20th, the weekend before Thanksgiving from 9 to 5, and will continue each weekend while supplies last. They will also be open on Black Friday, and Santa and Mrs. Claus will be on the farm on Friday, December 3rd for the kids. So mark your calendar starting November 20th for a visit to No Bad Days Farm and join the Schwingle family to kick off the Christmas season. Welcome back, and we're going to try our first soda, which is the Sorry Snowflake.
Picked by me.
And it seems pretty interesting. It's got a good label.
Yeah.
So we'll see if the taste lives up to the name.
That's what got me to pick it. That is delicious.
Yeah, I like that.
That is
It's
really
blueberry.
But it's red.
Exactly.
How they do that?
good. That's crazy.
It's not bad.
That's one of my.
I could drink
That's
that.
one of my. That's one of my better ones so far.
I like it.
I like it too.
I think we should sell this at Joe's.
Well, we can do that.
I say we do that.
Well,
It's got a great label.
you two
and
are the
great
ones.
taste.
I think it'll sell. No, honestly, it's delicious.
It is.
And anytime you have something that's a little controversial on the label, it makes people interested. And
Maybe
like
even a special drink one night with a little bit of Zambu, and that would be good,
There
or
you
something
go.
like that.
There you go.
Yeah, and some of those labels do well at Jake's too, where I sell most of it. And like the Rat Bastard root beer,
Yeah.
everyone wanted that just because it said Rat Bastard on it
Right.
for no reason. It could have been terrible, but
That was one of the ones that Curtis tried, and it came up and said, if anyone would know anything about a rat bastard, it would be you. And he hurt his feeling because that's mean.
Well, what I want to talk about next is what was your childhood like?
Yeah, let's
How was it
delve
like
deep,
growing up?
Deep.
You want to start with your childhood?
So you're both from Paris, right?
So we're both from
And-
Paris.
And you
2
have
years
no
younger?
accent or anything.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
amazing.
We
Right.
really,
Yeah,
no,
2 years.
uh,
Well,
2
a year
years
and a half.
apart.
I like to say a year and a half.
So what year in high school did you
a
guys?
year apart.
A year
so
apart.
when I was a junior, he was
Okay.
a senior.
So
Yeah.
what year did you graduate?
95
94.
Okay. And from Paris, Illinois.
Yeah.
from Paris.
Born and
Illinois.
raised, both
Paris
of you were born there?
Tigers.
I was born there.
No.
You go ahead.
No, I was born Scott Air Force Base.
Oh,
Illinois.
okay.
My parents were both Air Force medical.
Really?
Yes. So I was.
Did you move around a lot?
You were the Belleville
a
area,
little
right?
bit, a little bit. Started in Belleville, moved to South Dakota, then New York, and then back to Illinois.
So when they got out of the service,
Mm-hmm.
how did they? What brought him to Paris? Or is that just where he was
just-
going to practice?
He took a job that had great pay,
Yeah.
and
So was he an anesthesiologist?
Yes, and he became the head of the anesthesia department in Paris.
Right. So way back when I was working for Lilly and was a drug rep and was over there all the time and coming to the restaurant, and then finally, I don't remember what it was. I had seen him over there or something, and I saw him
remember
in your
that.
restaurant, and I was like, "What in the world is that? That guy works in Paris. I know he does." And then I was like, "Oh, that's
remember
my dad."
Yep,
So small world.
yep.
So,
So
you're
my-
born and raised, Pete.
So yeah, I was actually
Paris.
born in Paris. I was actually, I think, the year I was born was the last year that the Paris hospital delivered babies.
Mm-hmm.
So I was one of the last ones there. Grew up in the restaurant business. I mean, that's all I know. Kind of like my kids were just running around there. Even as a little kid, I remember stories that were told to me from past customers that I would go under the table and tie their shoelaces to the chairs. They said it was pretty rotten.
So was it called?
It was called
Joe's?
Joe's Pizza, yeah.
Okay.
And when we moved to Shelbyville, we were looking to change the name. We just couldn't find anything that would work. Pete's Pizza didn't exactly sound good.
Yeah.
My wife
What
wanted to
about
call
Laura's
it.
Pizza?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why didn't we think of that?
Right.
Yeah, no kidding.
My wife wanted to call it Amores, which means
Love.
lovers, love.
Oh,
And I was
that's
like-
cute.
I was like, no, we'll get made fun of later on in the years when I finally meet Clay and Toby.
I was gonna say there would have been.
They would have been pummeled by Toby.
I foresaw that, so
You
Good
might
call,
hear
though.
it from Toby just now, just saying that he'll start calling it Amores probably.
But like I said, I grew up in the restaurant business. I touched on this earlier. I was working when I was 12 years old.
How many siblings did you have?
I have 2 brothers and a sister, and then it was my mom and my dad, and we ran the show there, and it was a good time. It's you're with your family 24/7. We never really went on vacation. The first vacation I remember is my honeymoon. I remember when we were getting married, and I told my dad, because my mom had passed by then, I told my dad, hey, I'm going to close for 2 weeks. I'm going on a honeymoon after vacation. And my dad and my older brother were like, are you kidding me? You're going to close for 2 weeks? What are you thinking? And I'm like, it's my honeymoon.
There'll be someone else open a restaurant that time.
Yeah. So we went on our honeymoon, had a great time. When I came back, my dad goes, how was it? I go, Dad, it was awesome. And then 2 years later, we ended up going on our first family vacation. And we went to, did we go to Destin? Or was it Daytona? Daytona.
First one, yeah, with your
So
dad
we went to Daytona, and we started having family vacations after that. But, all I ever knew was work.
Yeah.
And you have a brother that has a restaurant, too, in Tuscola.
So, yeah, we have one in Tuscola. My brother runs that one. And then we still have the one in Paris. And that one's been there for, how old am I, 44, 47, 48 years?
Who runs that one?
Yeah, who's
My brother and my sister, my oldest. My sister's the oldest, and then my brother, who's right underneath her.
So all the siblings are doing a Joe's Pizza. That's cool.
Yeah.
So that played a pretty big influence on all of you, not just...
Yeah, because we're very family oriented, and like I said, it's nice that if I want to, you guys know, you go off, you do a business trip, you're not with your kids, you're not with your wife. It's hard.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I absolutely love, because at any given time, I can go and say, go talk to my kids or mess around with my kids if it's slow and I don't have to stand in front of the ovens and stuff.
Sure.
I can go, just have a good time. Sometimes we go out back and my kids they have a portable hoop and they'll set it out in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I'll realize how old I am when I take about 2 shots and I can't breathe anymore.
How long have you two been married?
We were married in 2000, so
When did the bliss begin?
this October it was 21 years.
2000. Let me try to do the math on that.
That's why I stayed quiet on that.
That's
I
nice
didn't
round
want to
number.
mess that
This
question up.
It's tough to mess that one up.
Now, who's more happily married?
Oh, we're both
We're both.
happily married. We've
Oh,
had
what a good
customers
answer.
say, I've had customers come up and say, I don't know how you work with your husband every day. I could not work with my spouse. And you know what? Honestly, he's my best friend. So
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine working a job where I don't have him right there with me. So,
Yep.
yeah.
I'm Jill's best friend.
We asked that same question to Toby, who's more happily married, and he said definitely Ashley.
Well, shocking.
Of course.
So did you work in the restaurant, in his family's restaurant? Is that how you guys?
Did.
Okay.
Well,
Or you were dating before, and then he.
We were dating before, but then I ended up working in the restaurant. They were teaching me how to cook and everything. And
He's like,
really
I can't
liked
go out
it.
on dates. All I do is work. So if you want to do anything on a Friday or Saturday night, you have
There
to
is
come
some
work.
truth to that. There is some truth to that.
But no, I really liked it. And honestly, when I went to college, I never thought I would be in the restaurant business. But now that I am, I couldn't imagine being anywhere else because I really have come to love it, which is weird because I thought I would be a lawyer, and now I'm not.
So where did you
And I
go?
could have
to
been a stay-at-home dad if she would have
Yeah,
stuck with
there
law.
you
No
go.
kidding.
Yeah. So where did you go to school?
Indiana State.
So did you go straight from there to I'm opening a restaurant with this guy?
No. So let's see. About a year before I graduated, I decided to drop out, which is terrible. But
Is that a fun conversation with your?
you know what? Honestly, I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. I went to school, and a year before I graduate, Pete and I were engaged. We had talked about opening a restaurant. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go anymore, and let's just start this. And so I was scared, and I approached my parents, and they were like, we kind of figured it's fine. And I was like, wait, what?
Wow.
And they're like,
That's
no,
shocking.
no. You two are great together. You guys will do good. We support you. And I'm like,
That is
They
amazing.
called that.
whew, that was easier
Yeah, they
than I
did call
thought.
that.
Was your mom a physician also?
She was a nurse, but
Yeah.
once she had me, she just
But I mean,
was a stay-at-home mom.
both of them with a lot of advanced education,
stuff.
and they're
And
both
they-
like, you know,
they-
you got to do
Yeah.
your own thing.
And
Yeah.
they were, they were strict on education. I
Right.
remember
Yeah.
dating. I mean, it was all about schooling.
Mm-hmm.
But and here's my in-laws. They're literally like my family. I mean, we
Mhm.
get along great. So, and even, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, they were really close with my family. And there's even a story where, my dad was having heart problems and went into the emergency room, and my father-in-law saved his life. So, I mean, we've always been really good, really close. I mean, we would have Christmas together and, Easter's together. Even when we go to my cousins, that would live far out, my in-laws would come with
Wow.
us.
That
Yeah.
makes things a lot easier on everyone.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Especially on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they just fit in great.
Well, you had to too, because nobody in your family had time to do 2 Christmases or 2 Easters. It was like
That was an issue, too.
we
That was
have
an
we have
issue,
4
too.
hours to fit this in before we have to open.
True.
Well, what is the key in balancing a happy marriage and running a restaurant at the same time?
I don't want to say.
You guys probably don't even think about that because it just works so well together.
Because it kind of flows. It
just
always
works.
has, but
Yeah, just, she
Well, you
knows
don't know
what,
any different
Yeah.
either, really.
No.
I mean,
No, Laura,
I
Laura
mean-
knows what to expect of me, and I know what to expect of her.
we have different strengths. Like, I'll take care of certain things, the scheduling. I deal a lot with the employees, and if they can come in, they can't come in. The parties all get booked, and the menu all gets planned by me,
I
and
take
then
care
he
of
takes
all
care
the
of all
cooking,
the stuff,
the
like,
ingredients, and all that stuff,
or
and getting
if
everything
something,
prepped.
like, isn't running right, or computer
Yeah,
stuff. I'm
that's
not
always-
a tech person.
but you're
That
the
is like a
social media
foreign-
person there, right?
I
She
am,
is.
but tech is like a foreign language to me. So he has to like dumb it down for me and say, this is how you do it. And then I'm like, okay.
So the point
okay.
of service system, you just want to know, what do I push to make it
I was
work?
against it at first.
Yeah, that was a fight.
Yeah.
That was a
We butted heads
I
on
can't
that
believe you
one.
wasted this money. No one's gonna understand this. But now,
But it took a while. Megan and I both were against it at first. And
What's changed, and it's painful. It slows you down to start with, and
Yeah.
then it probably,
Right.
once you
and
get
then,
going.
yeah.
I bet it's great, though, for you guys at the end of the month and end of the quarter and the year to
you
be
just
able
press
to.
a button and you
Yeah,
see
it's
everything.
all right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that
So
makes
that's
it so
good.
much easier. And like even redoing our menus and stuff, I can bring up everything and then I go, okay, this isn't selling very well, so let's take this off. And this pasta that I ran as a special, or
Mm-hmm.
Well, that makes
know,
things so much
this,
easier.
let's put it in its place. So you change up the menu, you freshen it up, give people some new options. Like one that completely took off was our meatball appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
That is good.
It's insane on how much that we sell of that. And that was one of those things that I went to a restaurant and they had a meatball appetizer and I tried it and I was like, I could do it better. And I did.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you make yourself is the sauce, right?
We make just about everything.
Okay. And the sauce was your parents? Is that how that started, or?
So, yeah. So Italian sauces, if you go to northern Italy, it's more of a tangier sauce, but the further down you go, and like
Sorry.
oh, you're fine.
Coaster
we're
tragedy.
cutting him off.
Yeah.
The further south you go, in like to the Sicily area, the sauce gets sweeter. It's a, I don't want to say it's an arid climate, but it's a drier climate. You got the mountains and you got great grapevines and olive trees. I mean, it's just really, things just take off there. I mean, I remember the last time I went to Italy, I was 16, and I went to my uncle's house, and he had a lemon tree, because especially Italian men, love their gardens. So he had to show me all look at this lemon tree, and look at this, and, So he goes and picks a lemon off of the tree, peels it, and goes, here, eat it. And I'm like, I'm not eating this lemon. Are you kidding me?
Right.
He's like, no, take a bite. And I took a bite, and it was lemony, but it was also sweet. And it was the weirdest thing. You could literally just eat it from the tree. And I ate that whole lemon like it was an orange.
Wow.
It was
crazy.
it was awesome. So, we make our own sauce. It is a sweeter sauce. We make our own dough. We make our dough a lot. And that's one of the things that having my son, he took that from me. So now I taught him how to make the dough, and now he makes the dough. So that's one thing I don't have to worry about.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And you can keep giving him more and more as the years go
More
on, hopefully.
responsibilities. Hopefully.
And Laura, you don't want anything to do with that,
No, I do. I make a lot
Yeah.
of stuff too.
do you?
Yeah, she knows how to do it.
Well, you've got a lot of years in with starting with his family all the way down out of cooking. So
Yeah. Yeah. I make the sauces too and all the pastas and everything. Yeah. But sometimes, like, we do a lot of rehearsal dinners. So on Friday nights, or like for Friday, we'll come in early, start prepping. I will get the room ready.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so much to getting it ready, especially if you know a particular wedding is going to be really big or like kind of needy, like they're going to need a lot of things. So you just try to make everything flow, because usually when they come in, it's right in the middle of your busy dinner service. So
You're getting slammed on the other side too.
yeah, carry-outs, deliveries, and then dine-in, and then you want to
you have
make
to serve a
this
party that's
rehearsal
35,
dinner
40
perfect
people.
because it's their one and only rehearsal dinner, even though
Hopefully.
it's just a Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 50-50 shots. There'll be another one.
I'll be honest with you.
There's just a lot. So if I'm busy doing that, like him and Seppi will take over and be like, okay, we need to make this. We got to prep this. So yeah.
How big of a factor has that party room played in making or being more successful? Has it been better for you, or?
It's definitely a positive. It is financially, yeah, it's definitely paid for itself tenfold. But like she was saying, when you're dealing with a customer that's just sitting at a table and, you know, you're trying to get their food out, it's one thing. But when it's taken a little bit. But when you have someone who is having a party because it is their rehearsal dinner, you want them to be happy. You don't want them to be like, well, that was horrible, you know?
Right.
So you're trying to focus all of your attention on them.
So you make sure that you take care of them, and especially like if they're ordering pizzas, and we still have pizzas that are coming in that from customers, and you got to get them all out at the same time. It makes me, like right now we have 2 huge deck ovens that are brick ovens. There's sometimes I need a third. Not sometimes. There's a lot of times we need a third.
One, you guys probably try to do as much, like you said, up front, advance, like what are you going to need exactly, so you can get as much of that food already out, prepped and ready, so there's less ordering at the time.
We get done.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Interesting. What would you have done differently if you were doing a third remodel right now? What would
Bigger
you do?
kitchen.
Really?
Oh yeah, and that's something I'm still toying with in my head, just to get what can I do to make my kitchen bigger, where I can fit a third oven, you know, maybe another deep fryer. I want to put in a bigger grill, you know, more stove space, but we just don't have the room. We put in 2 big giant walk-in coolers and walk-in freezer to make our lives a little bit easier, because we have so much stock now that we have to keep on hand. Because before it was, you know, you get an order once a week, you're okay. Now I'm getting an order in on Thursday, and I'm getting an order in on Monday, and the freezers are always just packed, and it's stressful.
Was that when you had to have them come in and brace up the floor to hold everything?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep. Well, it's an old building, so
Right.
One thing when we first did it was before the remodel. I had them come in and redo all our floor joists. And they were like, well, they're fine. I'm like, yeah, just redo them. I want everything done. I want it done right. I don't want to have to worry about it for another 30 years.
Yeah.
What about menu items? What's the most popular item, and what is your each of your personal favorite?
Well, other than pizza being the most popular, I would say, like, appetizer-wise, definitely Bosco's.
Really?
Hands down, Bosco's. Yeah, everyone has to have Bosco's.
And you got to love that, don't you? It's like, oh, that's simple. We can crank those babies out.
Yes, honestly, yes.
It's the cheese in the middle.
Yeah.
Everyone goes crazy for cheese inside of.
You know, realistically, it changes. What's popular? Like, for instance, Phillies. I think this weekend I went through, I don't know how many Phillies I made. It started the day off where I had, 7 Phillies?
Yeah, the first order had 7 on the one
7
ticket.
Phillies, and I'm like, this is going to be a fun night, you know? So this weekend it's been Phillies, Italian beef. Some weeks it's just straight Italian beefs with sandwiches. You know, we go through a rush of, you know, and it seems like everybody orders the same thing all the time. You know, so if someone orders a sub, you got 20 subs that night.
Yeah, it's almost like,
it's like
are they
everybody
seeing
talks,
it go
yeah.
by the table,
Yeah.
and they're like, I think I'll have one of those.
Yeah.
But honestly, sandwich-wise, our hamburgers, we sell so many
Our burgers
hamburgers.
are really popular.
You know, but the hamburger comes in fresh.
I
It's
was going to say, your burger's
hand-pressed.
really
It is a
good,
good
and
burger.
unless you are a regular there, you wouldn't really think of
A
an
pizza
Italian place
place,
to
yeah.
go. But it is a really good burger.
So, and how we came across that is when we make our pizzas, we use really good hamburger to put on our pizzas. And when it was slow or whatever, like, I'm going to make myself a hamburger. So, you know, I make myself a hamburger, and I'm like, you know what? We have the hamburger. Why not sell hamburgers?
Right.
So we'd sell hamburgers. And it just kind of snowballs. Well, you have hamburgers, and we used to have potato chips. I'm like, you know what? Hamburgers and fries, let's do fries. Well, now you bought a fryer. Well, if you got a fryer, you might as well do onion rings.
Right.
You know, and it just keeps growing. And that's why our menu used to be 2 pages. And now it's a book. I feel like it's the Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I'm going to need 30 minutes to examine this.
Yeah.
Are there things you feel like you need to shave down that you want to like?
We've had that conversation so
nonstop.
many times. Like, we look at the POS and we look through the different items. We're like, what doesn't sell? And
What are our bottom 3
it
things?
does sell, though, you know?
But your bottom thing still sells enough that you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we take something off, we end up usually just replacing it with something else. Like we're phasing out our mushroom ravioli, and we're doing a 4-cheese ravioli. You know, because I figure some
That sounds
people
good.
don't like mushrooms. The 4-cheese ravioli is phenomenal.
I think you could say cheese anything, and people.
Yeah, it's weird. People with cheese, they're obsessed.
And you know what's also weird is Shelbyville. When we first opened up in Shelbyville, it was a pastas. I mean, we sold pastas. Then it got to a point where we just sold pizzas. And it was just, you know, over the years it was pizza, and we barely sold pastas. And now it's both. It's almost like everybody's just kind of coming, you know, and together on it and going, okay, yeah, I like this. And, you know, where when I first opened up, a customer came up to the window to pay, and they said, good luck. This is a meat and potato town. And I'm like, I had no idea what he meant by that, but now I do. I mean, people are going to eat what they're comfortable, what they know, you know. Like we had veal parmesan, never sold it, you know. I did a lobster ravioli one time that I made, and it was, well, I'm biased, but it was really good. And, you know, I gave it to the employees and had them try it and said, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, put this on. And I put it on, and I think I sold like 4 orders, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing
People don't like to go outside of their little box most of the time.
But then I did a
like.
shrimp ravioli, and people were like, oh, shrimp, yeah,
Yeah,
I'll try
shrimp.
that. And then we sold quite a bit of that.
It's weird how that works.
familiarity.
Yeah.
It is kind of interesting because you said, and it's always dangerous to judge anything on like your own. You know, it's like one thing in sales. It's not about what you like. It's, you know, you gotta something that you like. You think, oh, everybody's gonna love this, but it's not really the way it is. But I remember we always had some sort of pasta, and then it was always pizza after that. But now I'll mix it up, sandwiches and things. But one thing that is insane is how many years we've been going there, and I just realized you guys had thick pizza about 3 weeks ago, and it's changed my life. It is great. I mean, your thick pizza when you started doing the Chicago style a couple of years ago, that's great. But the thick, I mean, especially because it doesn't really take any extra time for the most part, it was really good.
Yeah.
And how did I not know this?
We've had it ever since the beginning.
I know.
But
Well, if you just look at the menu, maybe.
I haven't looked at the menu in 10 years because I'm always like, yeah, I know what I want.
Yeah, because you're in your little box. You just get what you think you know.
And just like you're saying with the thick crust, we would sell a thick crust like maybe 2 a month, and now we sell a ton a day.
Yeah, it's because every time I'm in there, I'm like, hey, have you tried this thick crust? Does everybody know about this but me?
That's courtesy of Megan. Megan's been on a thick crust kit, so she
That's-
keeps on telling everybody.
Well, that's how we figured it out. Megan's like, have you tried a thick crust? I'm like, what are you talking about? The Chicago? No, thick. I'm like, I don't even know what you're saying right now. So that's good.
We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Carol Cole from Jake's Antiques. If you're looking for a unique shopping experience, come see us at 1717 West Main in Shelbyville, where we showcase the best of old and new in one location. We offer a large selection of antiques, reproductions, and colorful garden art. Come see us Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Welcome back to the Mason Miller Show, and now we're joined by Megan Howell on the phone, who is the #1 employee
Don't make her head
at
swell.
Joe's. Megan, how are you?
I'm good. I've yet to receive that plaque, so
It's in the
We're
mail.
we're getting it made. We're getting it
Working on
made.
it.
It's a long lead time. Nobody's working in America right now, so it's on back order.
that's
Could be
true.
a
That's
while.
true.
What has your experience been like working at Joe's, Megan?
And be honest, Pete's not paying attention.
Oh, I mean, really, it changes all the time, but it's been a really good experience. I mean, I've learned a lot from them, And then I feel like I've gained a lot of relationships through the people that I've worked with and have been able to help them with some stuff too. So that's been fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I was saying earlier, Megan's a huge part of Joe's Pizza. She's been around us forever. And Megan, I mean, you got the word employee, but she's family. You know, and a lot of our employees that have been with us forever, you get that friendship, and that friendship goes to family. You know, like Bill Duckett. You know, he's been with us forever, and then now he's, you know, of course, the high school football coach and everything. You know, he's family. I look at him as he's a brother to me. She's a sister to me, and sometimes she's really, really mean to me, especially when she gangs up with Laura.
True.
But hey, Megan, what was that root beer that you recommended that I try?
That one, the Route 66.
Route 66.
We'll have to
It's
get that
one of
one
my-
to try.
Okay, we'll get the Route 66 off the shelf and give it a whirl. Megan, what's your favorite job to do, and what's your least favorite job to do at Joe's?
It's a loaded question.
That is. Honestly, the bartending is my absolute favorite thing to do.
Really?
It is.
Even when Toby Kuntz and people like that are wandering.
Even when Toby Kuntz is there.
No, you do a good job at it too, and I think you
Yeah.
keep things light, and you don't get. We were just discussing how you don't get rattled, and when it's insanely busy in there, you tend to just kind of keep an
I
even
just
keel.
like that it's that little section, and it's just, I mean, kind of different conversations every time. You know, it's like the same job that you do, but it's different people, different conversations, so it's like different every day.
Yeah.
I like that part of it. It's never the same.
Well, and he's gonna implement. Laura's gonna implement QR codes tomorrow, so you'll get caught up on that later. We've got it all worked out.
We'll fill you in.
I'm pretty sure you'll hate it.
I don't care what everyone says, Megan. I think you're a great waitress.
What is happening?
No. So, how many years have you been there, Megan?
Ooh,
It was in different shifts, right? Didn't you?
Consecutive.
When you're, yeah. This last go, I guess.
I've only not been there like 1 year. So let's see. I don't know.
Since she was in high
Yeah,
school.
since you were,
Really?
what, you were
Yeah.
16, weren't you?
16.
What are you now, like 50? She's counting.
It's a low blow.
16 years.
Yeah.
16 years.
That's awesome.
That's with taking out the year that I wasn't there. So
Think of the pension you're going to get, the pension plan that they have at Joe's that you're
The
going to get to draw
401k
on.
plan.
Right. Oh, the matching 401k.
I mean, she's almost been working there longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
ooh,
Crazy.
Maybe they'll name a section of the restaurant after you. Megan's Corner. Laura and everything the same way. Megan's Corner. That she just wants to stay in. Or maybe they'll build a little platform so you can see over the bar sometime.
I'm waiting on that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to reach the other side of the bar.
Right. You got to meet when Megan gives you a plate of food or drink. You have to reach halfway across the bar to meet her because her arms won't reach all the way across the bar.
Yeah,
That's
it's in
okay.
between.
Right. So, anything else for Megan before we let you get back to? You probably have dinner to make and kids to take care of, right?
I already did all of that.
Oh, well, good
She's
for
a
you.
go-getter.
She is.
She really is.
Guess we'll get her.
What, do you got the rest of the night off or what?
I mean, now I have to clean it all up. But
Right. Well, they'll be in there doing that for you right now while you're on the phone. You probably go back to the clean kitchen.
yeah, that's what they do. Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Megan. I appreciate it.
Hey, well, thanks for letting me.
And thanks for the recommendation. We're going to do that soda right now, actually.
You are? Oh, I can't wait to hear what you think about it. But I'm a big fan of root beer. I love all the root beer.
Yeah,
Well, you have to stop by sometime, or maybe we'll bring you about. We'll probably run into you sometime in the near future at Joe's.
I'll be at the bar at Joe's if you want to come visit me.
Sounds good. Have a reason to come. Thanks, Megan.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.
Hi, this is Penny Standifer with the Shelbyville Police Department and volunteer for saving orphaned animals. Over the past 14 years, we have been able to save over 3,000 dogs, cats, puppies, and kittens from being euthanized, and instead we place them in loving homes and great rescue groups. Much of this is made possible by the generous donations from people like you, which enable us to get the rescued pets the medical care often required. So if you or someone you know are ready to provide a great home for a pet, please check us out on petfinder.com, or you can contact Shelby County Animal Control at 217-774-4932 and find your new family member today. Also, to donate to Saving Orphaned Animals, please reach out to me, Penny, at the Shelbyville Police Department. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Mason Miller Show, where we're still joined by Pete and Laura. And we're going to try our second soda, the Rocky Mountain Root Beer, which we've yet to try.
My coaster keeps sticking to me.
Good. It's classic root beer. What do you think?
It's not bad. Still have a little bit of that sorry snowflake in the
Yeah,
bottom.
mine too. The sorry snowflake in the bottom makes it taste like flat root beer, so I'm sure it's probably really good. You're right, I should have gotten a new glass.
I remember the first time I drank this. This was our first shipment of soda that we got, and I was just coming off of being sick with COVID, and I couldn't taste or smell. I was like, oh, I want to try one. I drank the whole thing, couldn't taste any of it, so I'm glad I finally got.
So what got you into root beer? Like, is that your go-to?
I don't know. For some reason, I've always been
Just hobby.
I've always been drawn to root beer.
When I was your age, I used to love root beer, and I would go to, there was this gas station by our restaurant, and I'd walk over to the gas station, and it was Dog and Suds.
Oh, yeah.
And I would take the lid off of it, and I'd stick it in the freezer, and you got to be careful.
Yeah, you don't want
Explodes.
broken glass.
You take the lid off of it, and you set it in there, and as soon as it got to a certain point, it was basically a slushy. And I would drink those nonstop. And it got to a point where I couldn't drink a root beer because I drank so many of them. I was just
Burned
like,
out
I'm
on
burned
'em.
out on them.
Yeah.
But I love root beer.
For some reason, I just can't get burned out on it, no matter how much I drink it.
That's like me and pizza. You were asking what's your favorite food.
Me and
It's pizza.
Yeah.
I eat.
You can't really-
I
yeah.
eat pizza, and as you could probably tell, I eat. Well, our pizza is healthy.
It's a problem
But
because
I eat it all the time.
I'm the same way. We'll have to, every time there's some new team or group or something for work, you fill out all this stuff, get to know each other, and everybody's putting down all these fancy food. I'm like, pizza, favorite food.
Yeah.
I'm really simple pleasures, honestly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm the same way.
Fat-free, healthy, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's like if we go on
Let's
vacation,
tell each other.
the first thing we do when we come back from vacation, so like let's say we go to Florida or whatever, and we come back from Florida, we don't go home. We go straight to the restaurant. I fire up the ovens.
We have to have a pizza when we come back.
Seppi will make some dough.
It's like we go through withdrawal.
I'll make
Isn't that
pizza
crazy?
sauce. We'll grind some cheese and we'll eat a pizza, and then we'll take it home and finish unpacking.
Yeah.
But it's got to be pizza.
You're like, sleeping in your own bed's overrated. It's got to have your own pizza is what you're
Yeah.
thinking, right?
You start to miss it. You really do.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of Joe's, do you have any other hobbies that you do or would like to do?
What hobby in theory would you like to have?
Just hang out with her.
Oh,
Right.
Sounded a little sarcastic.
you talked about earlier
I
about
was like, we'll talk about that later.
Well, when I've been in Joe's, you've talked about getting a boat,
I do. You know what?
big old
hobbies.
pontoon.
I want to buy that boat. I want Pete and Laura to get a boat so bad, a really nice one, because in a year from now, you're going to be able to buy that boat because they'll never take it.
Exactly.
You know what? If I got a boat, I would go out. I would make time to go out. But I don't know.
I don't know, Laura.
Before-
What's your thoughts on that? Because you're sitting there like, I don't know.
Laura's easy to persuade.
I mean,
I'm very easy to persuade her.
Right
She's
now-
always no, and then I talk her into it.
right now,
maybe-
Seppi's really into fishing, so he's been working on Pete at getting,
Well, there you go.
getting a boat. And,
I want you. It's tough to fish off of, but
yeah.
we've been looking for someone to bring into the group that needs a pontoon boat. We talked about this.
Because we need to grill some food on there.
Right.
And
we need
I
some
will do
room.
that. I'll wheel what are those, Blackstone?
Yeah.
Wheel one of those on
That'd be
there. and
perfect.
Pete would be like, "Oh, this is so nice to have a day off where I can be tied up with all these friends of mine and cooking on my boat for them." This is very different.
You know what? But I love to cook. I really, really do. Even on my days off, Laura will be like, "What are we making?" And usually I like to cook a little bit. I don't want to say the word gourmet, but I cook a little bit more extravagant at home because that's what I really love to do. I love to cook fancy. So my family went in with this country club in Paris, and they ran the restaurant part of the country club before my brother decided to move to Tuscola. And when they first opened it, you know, deep down inside, I think my dad wanted to do that because he was trying to get me to come closer to him.
Yeah.
So I live back in Paris and run that because he knows that I like to cook like he likes to cook, you know, fancier, you know, higher end type of stuff, steaks, fish, things like that. And so I said I'd help there for about 2 weeks. So Laura ran Shelbyville, and I would drive back and forth every day to Paris and run that country club. And, you know, I was cooking the steaks and the fish, and I absolutely loved it. I mean, it was, you know, screaming out order, not screaming, but being like, hey, you know, I'm coming up with the steak. Do you guys got the potatoes? You guys got this? Where's the veggies? You know, and it was just great. And at the time, our food distributor was Cisco, and Cisco brought in some chefs to help, you know, with the process and stuff like that. And one of their top chefs go over, and they had a meeting with my family, and I was still finishing up doing some steaks and stuff and finishing those off the grill and some fish. So they met with my family, and they're like, listen, whoever that guy is over there, he's phenomenal. Offer him whatever he wants. And they go, yeah, that's my brother, and he's actually got a restaurant. He doesn't want to stay here.
Well, in all your free time, you could open a small restaurant next door, or a little different kind of one, or across wherever there's a building. Yeah, I can't fathom how you would.
I mean,
Both.
have you
guys,
even,
your heads would completely explode, I would think.
have you even thought of life after Joe's? Retiring, fading away more from the business, giving Seppi more of the reins to the... I know it's probably hard to think about now, but...
You know, I'd like to retire in 10 years. I would. I love Florida. Who doesn't? I'd love to retire to Texas. I think Texas is where we kind of want to retire to. But, you know, that's 10 years down the road. And then, yeah, Seppi would probably take over Joe's.
Or would you ever consider selling the restaurant?
Anything's for sale.
Yeah.
Right. That's what Dad always says.
Anything's for sale.
I could be out of here in 15 minutes for the
Yeah.
right price in this house.
Yeah.
In a
Actually, when
heartbeat.
we were going to Shelbyville, there was a restaurant that said, you pay us this much, and I'll leave today. I was like, no.
Yep. I mean, you're right. Everything's for sale. If somebody knocks on the door and says the right number, it's like, well,
Yeah.
let me grab the dog and I don't know, a couple other
Jill,
things.
let's
We'll be out of
go.
here. Yeah, exactly.
But then
No,
again,
leave it. We'll buy a new one.
Exactly.
it would be nice to continue the legacy of the restaurant and keep it going.
Yeah. I'd like to.
Of Amore.
Because it is such a... it is a staple in Shelbyville.
You know what? And
Especially
I
for
love
the
that.
community.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
I really, really love hearing that.
That feels good to know
It
that you
does.
are.
I
Have
love
you
the
Well, you
reached
guys
that
do so
point?
much for the
When you
community.
have kids wearing
you.
your Joe's Pizza shirts around, you know, I think, yeah, it's definitely with the kids too. I mean, you know, there's a whole generation of kids that have grown up with Joe's Pizza now, and that is one thing. You guys do a tremendous amount for the community, and I don't think a lot of people realize, business owners, how often they're approached for, you know, not just Shelbyville kids. I mean, there's kids that come from all the little towns around that don't have a lot, that need their yearbooks done and things like that.
Windsor and,
Yeah.
yep.
And it's pretty much
Oklahoma.
constant. Yeah, I know that from Jill's families, you know, and all the other friends that have, you know, leeches and kuntzes and all that. And what you guys do is, you know, it's a lot. So I know we appreciate that, and you guys have always been really good about trying to do what you can where you can. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do.
And it's when you're on Friday night, what are we going to do? We're going to go up to Joe's. I mean, that's a
we haven't
mindset
been,
of
we haven't been there since Wednesday night, so probably won't be there again until Saturday. So we better go. Now, it's gotten bad to the point to where sometimes it's even like, okay, I promise I'm not going up there to eat more than once this week. And then, you know, somebody will text me and be like, how many times have you been up there this week? I was like, well, you know, Jill had church one night, Mason was gone, so I ran up there and grabbed a sandwich. So, but that doesn't count because we weren't all together.
I think after we have Megan's Corner, we'll go ahead and designate another
Megan's
corner
Corner.
for the Miller's Corner.
And Jill's embarrassed by that. But
Well, you'd be surprised on how many customers order on a
Yeah.
daily basis. I mean,
Yeah.
a daily basis. Like, we have some customers that I'm not. It's the same thing too, and they order
Every
it every
single
day. And then there was a week. I mean, this one customer in particular. There was a week where the customer did not order, and we were concerned.
You're like
Yeah.
calling Jack Yawkey. You're like, hey,
we were like,
Should someone
Is this
check on
person-
them? Like, one of my delivery drivers like, should I drive by and check and make sure they're okay? It's like that. And then they started calling. I'm like, okay, everything's fine. They're alive.
send Davey by.
It was Davey that was concerned.
He's just knocking on the door.
Oh,
Hey,
man.
I didn't order anything. No, I know. We're just checking to make sure you're alive.
well,
When are
let's
you gonna
check.
start ordering again?
Right. Did you quit us?
I quit you.
Right. No.
But yeah, no, we love this community. We love doing our part wherever we can to help things out. And, you know, I was always raised that if you're going to do something for someone, do it because it's in your heart, not because you want the notoriety. You know, and it's always nice when people sit here and say, hey, thank you, or, you know, we realize that you did do this for us. And, you know, that's always nice. But we don't do it for the notoriety. We do it just because it's the right thing to do. That's what you do in a community. Mm-hmm. It's a family. You know, I keep on talking about family. My employees are family. Shelbyville's family.
Well, and
Absolutely.
that's one of the, I think that's one of the things about being in a small town. You know, they always say, oh, you miss out on so much. I mean, there's advantages, disadvantages of small town, but boy, I can't think of a better time to live in a small town than now, the way the world is.
Oh, yeah.
But
Right.
part of it is too, is having, you know, the people that whatever, have your restaurants or the, you know, have the barber shop, I mean, that's the fun part of growing up. And I think why sometimes kids go away and then they look back like, man, that really wasn't, you know, small town wasn't so bad, you know?
A lot of them are coming back.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, even over the summer, I know, you know, with Malcolm, like some of these kids that came down just for a day to they're like blown away by, you know, because they're from big cities,
Right.
you know, West Coast or even Canada or Africa and places like that. I mean, this is mind-boggling to them that we really live in a small town where everybody knows everybody and people just wave. When you pass a car, you wave to them, things like that, you know, things
Everyone
we take for
knows
granted.
everyone.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things that, you know, you tell your kid don't ride in the car with a stranger, you know, but there was a time that my son's bike broke down or his scooter broke down and someone saw him and picked him up and brought him to the restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
You don't really worry letting your kids go to
No.
the park or
Right.
go wherever.
and then you throw in the lake and it's surreal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It'll be so much better this year when you get that pontoon boat.
Yeah, no kidding. I really appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you for having us.
It was a good time.
It was.
Glad you finally came on the show. I know you're worried about it, but there's nothing to worry about.
Just busy. I wasn't worried.
It's nice to.
I didn't want to pull the same thing I did when I was on the radio that one time.
Yeah.
I just froze.
brain freeze.
You don't hate your
Yeah.
voice this time.
It's good to hear Pete talk about the business, and it's also good to hear who really runs the business, Laura,
The real boss.
Right,
That's-
right.
That's
We're in the-
true.
making
actually.
everything come together.
And don't forget, you can buy all the sodas that we tried on the show. They're made available at Jake's. You can purchase them there. And as of recently,
We're gonna have some of them at Joe's Pizza.
Mhm.
I'd
Yeah.
like to, if it's okay with you.
I am, yes.
He'll have his
I can't wait
people
for
call
that.
your people.
All right.
We'll get
We
in
got a
touch.
deal.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm really excited about that, and I really appreciate you letting me put my name on your menu.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm just glad we could finally work it out and sell some more soda that way.
Absolutely. I'm excited. I really am. I might drink my profits out of it, but that's okay.
That's all right.
I'll have to stick some of them in the freezer.
You can get it at wholesale.
Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.